What up, everybody? Uh, so no, I don't. I'm not a YouTuber. I don't have no channel or anything like that. But I think all of us that are considered hip hop heads or people that just love the music in general. You don't even have to be a hip hop head, but just love the music in general. We need to kind of speak out about what's really going on. What's about to really come down the pipeline regarding the Eminem and Snoop Dogg situation. I heard a lot of reactions on YouTube, how everybody broke it down, how they taking it, who's taking what side, how certain people feel. Right now, a lot of people feel Snoop was in the wrong. That's the census that I'm gathering. That Snoop was in the wrong with what he said. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and you know that includes Snoop. Snoop is entitled to his, but I will say Snoop's approach on relaying his opinion in regards, to how he feels about Eminem's catalog or Eminem's career. It really sounded like he was really hating, and to me, it feels like it's more on a protege versus protege, since they both Dr. Dre's proteges. I feel Snoop don't feel like he got his just due because he was Dr. Dre's first protege before anybody. So he feels some kind of way toward Eminem. Now this don't have nothing to do with M, you know. M got I truly believe the love that M had for Snoop Dogg was 100% genuine. He was even on M's album, the Marshall Mathers LP. But Snoop was talking out of the side of his neck. He was saying white people wasn't checking for hip hop or people wasn't checking for white people in hip hop. I mean, I don't know what he's talking about. Like, man, do your history, bruh. I mean, we talking post Beastie Boys, when they were the ones that broke the color line, was Beastie Boys. They brought in a whole genre of people. Because of the Beastie Boys, it brought a lot of white people to start listening to Public Enemy. And then you had young black teenagers, which is weird because that was a white group, but they called themselves young black teenagers. Don't forget House of Pain. House of Pain, they were solidified. You know, Everlast on his own, his solo projects. I can go down the list. Milkbone, straight out of Jersey. It was a lot of cats that was really putting it down in our era, the '90s. They was holding it down. But Eminem changed the game. He changed it, and I really feel like a lot of black people like kind of hold that in their heart. Like, I can't say that a white man changed the black genre. He didn't change the surface of the root of it. You know what I'm saying? And there's this thing about culture vulture, and Eminem is nothing close to the culture vulture. It's not even close to that. Eminem's not taking the culture and then taking it for himself and saying, "Hey, this is what I did. This is what our people did. This is what like what they did with rock and roll and what they did with jazz." No, Eminem is like, I pay homage to the forefathers. I mean, come on, man. This man quoted "Yoke to Joke" verse from Tretch. He talked about how that verse changed his life. It wasn't Vanilla Ice. It wasn't Beastie Boys. No disrespect to both of them, you know, because there were songs by the Beasties that I was like, wow, it's phenomenal. And I'm sure a lot of people that listen to this message felt the same way too about Beasties. Now, granted, his content may not be something that a lot of us in our community would listen to, but regardless of the content, man, his skill, his penmanship, his wordplay, the fact that he is still in his prime for 20 plus years. A lot of cats can't say that they still in their prime after 20 years. They can't say that. They had their heyday in the 90s and they still holding on in 2021, but they ain't as strong as they used to be. M is still holding it down. Stop thinking it makes you less of a black person, or that you're not really holding on to your culture as an African American, or that you selling the culture short because you give Eminem his just due simply because he's white. That's ridiculous. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. You guys gotta understand, man. These 90s cats, including Snoop, our 90s era, we're the ones that still stuck on racism, man. We're the ones that still got that kind of plated in the back of our heads because we dealt with a lot of that harshness. I'm not saying that racism isn't alive and well today. It is, but those of us that grew up in the 90s, it like stamped, it was really stamped on our, in our backbone about, uh, racism, especially in the schools. I remember when I was in school, from LA to out here in West Covina, black kids, we clicked with our own. It was almost like prison. Black kids hung with the black kids, the white kids hung with the white kids, Hispanics hung with Hispanics, and so forth. That's kind of how it was, You know what I'm saying? It wasn't until like my junior year when I actually started seeing, commingling. I started seeing, especially like, playing sports. When you play sports, you start hanging with certain cats of different races, and because hey, we all on the same team. But this generation, this Gen, as they call it, Gen Z, man, they not about that. You got black kids that's all about mohawk and straight rock music, punk, everything. They're into the whole gothic everything. That's what they know. That's what they like. They're they into goth. They into death metal, all that. And then you got white kids that's straight street. They just love hip hop. They breathe it. They love it. They ain't, it's not about, oh, they trying to be black. No, they breathe, walk, and they love hip hop just like anybody else. So for Snoop to come out with that whole intro of saying that he like that, the great white hope, and white people wasn't checking, or black people wasn't checking white people for hip hop. I'm like, that's the dumbest thing. As a matter of fact, it's the exact opposite. In the 90s, I would say the late 80s and the 90s, when a white rapper came out, we was on them the hardest because we were so suspect. Like, why is this dude coming up in the hip hop game? Like, what he trying to do? Is he trying to be like Elvis? He trying to take it and put a white stamp on it and take it away from us? We were more skeptic. So for Snoop to even come out and say something like, "Oh, black people wasn't checking for hip hop, but checking white people for hip hop," man, please, bro, what are you talking about? Get out of here. I mean, it was the exact opposite. And then for him to, it's cool. Eminem is not in your top 10. Everybody has their top 10. Everybody has their top 5. Eminem don't have to be in your top 10. And from what I heard in the Eminem interview, Eminem was cool that you didn't want him in. He's like, yeah, I'm not even tripping about that part of the interview. I'm not tripping that I'm not in your top 10. I don't have to be. That's cool. You're entitled to that. But it was like you kind of like was trying to stick the knife in. You was trying to throw the shade. You was trying to ask for the smoke because it was at the end. You was like, I can go without that. Like, come on, man. And the fact that like that makes you kind of suspect, Snoop, because this dude is on your team. Y'all from the same fam. Like, what are you doing? You gonna come at your own fam like that? Someone that's done nothing but showed you love. 100% show nothing but love because y'all from the same camp. Y'all had the same mentor. He came from the gutter just like you. Yeah, he didn't gangbang and all that, but Eminem came from the gutter, bro, just like everybody else. Just because he went into the street life, don't mean he didn't come from the gutter, man. He fought. He had to fight to earn his spot. Being the one white dude that's just knocking everybody off the top of their game. Like, come on, man. He had to earn it. It was not given to Eminem just because he was white. He had to earn that because hip hop is street oriented with street cats. Majority of cats that got into the hip hop game came from the streets. That's why the music is so gully, so gutter, so real, because it came from the streets. So for him to step into this realm of street element, street poetry, street life, and for him to come with the content that he was, because he had to be authentic, nobody would have accepted him on some streets. They'd be like, nah, this dude ain't about that. He ain't about that action. Come on, bruh. But the fact that he came with his the authenticity of talking about his mom and all the craziness and, his family issues, even though it may have been strange to us, but it touched a lot of people. He touched a genre of people who could now say, hey, hip hop speaks to me too. Because before, people couldn't say hip hop spoke to them. It was just us that was in the hood. Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? For real. That's real, real. When we heard NWA, when we heard Cool G, when we heard Big Daddy, when we heard Boogie Down, you know what I'm saying? King T, Toddy T, all my West Coast legendaries, my West Coast legends. Rest in peace to the homie Mixmaster Spade. But when you hear what they talking about, like, yeah, we relate because we come from those streets. I come from LA, I come from that. I know about Compton, from Watts, all that. We know that. And then straight from all the boroughs, like when you're talking about Boogie, when you're talking about BK, when you're talking about Staten, you know what I mean? Everybody, like, if you from the boroughs, like, those hood cats. You know which borough and how they get down. You could tell, someone that's coming straight out of Bed-Stuy, how different the flow is from someone coming out of Flatbush. You dig what I'm saying? For those, that y'all know what I'm talking about if y'all from New York, you know what I'm saying? But for the LA, for my LA fam, y'all don't know. But my NY family, y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know the difference. I'm not just talking about just the different borough, like Staten. I'm talking about within the borough. Because see, for those that don't know, like Brooklyn got its own subsections, you know what I mean? Yeah, Bed-Stuy, you know what I'm saying? Crown Heights, you know what I'm saying? It's Flatbush. It's come on, man, Brownsville. It goes on and on. But like Eminem coming straight out of Detroit, and Detroit, come on, we all know Detroit has its hood. Detroit is solid, it's solidified. But M didn't bring that. You know what I'm saying? Royce brought that. Obi Trice brought that. But M spoke on another element. And it spoke and it resonated with a lot of people. And then after he brought that knowledge, to us it was weird because you know how a lot of black comedians always talking about when you hear a white kid cuss at their parents, the black kids sit there with their eyes wide open like, because we know we get our tongue, our neck would have been dislocated if we would have came at our parents the way we heard certain kids do. Well, that's what it was when we first heard Eminem. Because when he was talking about his mom the way he did, we was like, what? Again, and we grown as people, like, and we like, why did he talk about his mom's like what? Again? But he wasn't the only person that felt that way. And truth be told, it wasn't just white people that felt the way Eminem felt. So I think Snoop need to pull back on, and he kind of in his feelings right now. It really sounds like he's in his feelings. And I mean, come on, man, that's your fam. And the reason why I did this video, because I don't want to spill over into some stuff like Crooked Eyes. Like, like, we don't need that. King Crook already said it. The last thing we need is for racism to spill over into hip hop. Hip hop it's American. It's multicultural, multiracial, because there's so many different stories that need to be told. And all black people just can't tell it. There's other races, you know. Razas got to tell their story. Whites got to tell their story. Asians got to tell their story. Shout out to China Mac, Jen. You know, we didn't know those stories until we heard China Mac and we heard Jen, and you know what I'm saying. We hearing these different cultures, these different stories. So Snoop need to just fall back on that whole. He's caught up in his feelings, and people are starting to know it. They like, Snoop, you mad, bruh, because you feel Eminem took your spot because you was Dr. Dre's protege. You was his protege. He took you deep cover from deep cover to the first Chronic album. From the first Chronic album to Donkey Style, you was at the top of your game. You was the protege of Dr. Dre. Then M steps in, and M comes out, and you know, and you felt like now everybody just, they keep mentioning Eminem in the regards to Dr. Dre, but they don't mention Snoop Dogg as much. And I think you're feeling some kind of way. And I understand something, Snoop. What you've done and what you're doing, I don't even want to speak about you in past tense. What you have done and what you are continuing to do is solidified in hip hop. You don't have to. You don't have to prove nothing. And you don't have to have the same spot as Eminem. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to shine just to be a star, bruh. You don't have to be a star to shine. Let me rephrase that. You don't have to be a star to shine. So everybody knows that the two prominent proteges of Dr. Dre is Eminem and Snoop Dogg, hands down. And instead of embracing your brother, now you playing this Cain and Abel type stuff where you trying to chop him down because, like, God accepted Abel's offering, but he didn't respect Cain's. Notice I didn't say God didn't accept Cain's offering. He just didn't respect it. Well, you in the same boat right now, bruh. The audience respects Eminem's offering and his response to what you said. People are not really respecting the Snoop Dogg version. You can't come out with, I know who's better, Big Daddy Kane. Come on, bro. That's what T.I. was trying to claim with Busta Rhymes. Like, come on, man. How you gonna compare Big Daddy Kane to an Eminem, KRS-One to an Eminem? We talking about two totally different genres. We talking about 20 years apart. You know? Now, if you would have went and said Hopspin, or you would have said Cole, or you would have said Kendrick, you know what I'm saying? Or even some of the undergrounds, My Son, you know, like I could have respected that a little bit more because it just shows that you are kind of up to par in what's going on in hip hop. But you just sound like an old man that's bitter and that's still stuck in yesteryears because you can't even name current artists to compare with an artist who is currently popping right now. So I just say, Snoop, man, fall back on that. I think you need to call your brother and y'all just need to talk this out. This don't even need to go on wax because I could tell it hurt Eminem's heart to even say what he said in the Zeus joint. Because when Eminem want to go in, he'll go in on you. But he didn't want to go in because in his heart, he still sees you as his brother, even though you said what you said. Eminem don't want to go in on you, bro. And at the end of the day, if you dig deep in your heart, you don't want to go in on your brother like that, man. For real. That ain't how you want this to end. You don't want that stamp on your legacy. The one that stabbed his brother in the back. This ain't no white and black issue, bro. Let's not even get that twisted. At the end of the day, that's your brother, man. He looked up to you, bro. And you just shitted on him for no reason. Why? Come on, man. Turn it around, man. Just how Jay and Nas did it for hip hop, man. This is something that I don't think hip hop want to see. Not y'all, man. I mean, yeah, you got some of the youngins out there that are like, ooh, I can't wait to see Snoop respond back because Eminem gonna murder him. Nah, not in this camp, man. Not like this. Not where it feel like you're gonna where it's gonna lead to a point of choosing sides. Like, oh, you gonna choose the white boy over your own? Oh, so you only choosing Snoop Dogg because he black? I'm telling you, that's where it's gonna head, man. I'm telling you, at the end of the day, it's gonna go down that road. and it don't need to. And I think Eminem know, like, nah, man, well, this ain't the way. But at the same time, he just couldn't let you just say that and let that ride. So call your brother, man. Y'all talk this out. All right. Peace, y'all.